Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. We are going to talk about the Great Recession. What can it mean for Bitcoin though? So welcome. If you're new, subscribe, hit the bell button, like button, good stuff. Happy days. Welcome, obviously, if you are new. So, this is Bitcoin related, obviously. We're going to put a spin on it with the stock market because I've been saying this for a while. I think we are about to drop. Bang, mic drop, boom. All that good stuff is going to potentially happen. And I say good stuff as in opportunity for us anyways. If you are in the market and you are stuck, please look at your investments. Have a little feel around and see what you've got and think long term and think this may come down. So let's look at this first article you see on MarketWatch. Now, by the way, this is recorded at 11 a.m. UK time. When you see this, there'll be a good 13 hours later, so there'll be a bit of a difference in figures and facts and all kinds of stuff like that, so please make sure you look first. Now, after the best April for the Dow in 82 years, the same for the S&P 500, sell in May, a smart strategy. Now, I think this is the warning sign. I think this is the heads up, boys and girls, we are going to drop. Now, when you look at this, yeah, cool. April's been fantastic. Earnings have not been calculated yet, as in what's happened with the lockdown, COVID-19. There's always a delay. Previous earnings, obviously, it's got different months where things were normal and rosy. However, let's look at it in more detail. When you think of the next quarter, shit is going to hit the fan, in my view, on a lot of industries. Car industry, big one. Aviation industry, big one. Hospitality industry, big one. All kinds of other industries that we take for granted every single day in terms of manufacturing, supply, demand, all that stuff. Now, why am I saying all this? Because already this morning, you're looking at the market and you're thinking, okay, yesterday was a rough day. Wasn't as rough as normal, but rough, you know what I mean. When you look at the futures now, it's looking pretty turbulent. We are already down on the futures 2.55% on the Nasdaq. That's big. Let me just mute that. Boom. The S&P 500 also down 2%. The Dow Jones is down 2% as well. This could be the start of a potential sell-off, and I'm going to go through the chart in a minute in terms of where we are and why Bitcoin comes into this, because Bitcoin will come into this due to panic. People will sell their investments all across the board. They will sell their stocks, they will sell their crypto investments, they will sell their precious shit that they need because things are going to go down in value. We've already seen a few whales jump in and out of the tank recently with Bitcoin. We're going to probably see that again very, very soon, I think. So when you look at Bitcoin, 5-minute time frame, pointless. Don't even know why I'm looking at that. But let's look at the weekly first. So in terms of all this kind of stuff here, as you know, I've been bearish for a while, right? You know, short-term kind of elements of I am bear because of X, Y, and Z, and I can prove it. We have not formed a higher high yet. We've went all the way to 9.5. A whale jumped out the tank, literally took a lot of volume out, and we're now dropping. It's a big, big thing. Now, when you consider that this massive drop here, this one weekly candle was the start of COVID-19, when the stock markets crashed, and I'll come on to the stock markets in a second. Problem. We are going to turn around, I believe. I think this is a solidified downtrend now. When you consider what's happening with wick, well, when it didn't even come close to wicking it. When you look and zoom in, and all these Fibonacci's on here, that's a setup, by the way. If you're interested, just a bit of a trading tip. I personally believe, right, this here is a 618 of this relief rally, of this drop back up to here. This is a 786 on the daily. We could be dropping down to 78. Possible. I wouldn't trade off that, but if you're looking to sell, you could probably look at 9k for a potential sell order if you're looking to take profits instead of here. We're on our way up there, but if we hit 9k and we reject, by the way, it could get pretty messy over the weekend. Just going to put that out there. If that comes off, we'll see. If not, well, crack on. But personally, you should always be holding, in my view. That's what I do. I always hold my investment bags. I don't even think about them. I just, I do buy trades. Happy days. Anyways, with Bitcoin, as I say, We have not formed a higher high yet. So when I just remove the jargon, we need to form a higher high over here. I mentioned that yesterday. We've not yet done that. Until that happens, we're unsure. I'm not excited yet anyways. Until that happens, I'll get excited. Because I'll be holding, obviously. So, we're going to look at the S&P first. Because when you start looking at this, and this is a blank chart, and you're probably thinking, we're going down there again, I think, personally. So when you put a simple fib on this, and you start looking at where we are, it's there, right? I've already done it for you. So look at it. Look at it. Just look at it. We have zipped in and we're starting to turn around. Today is a bad day, another 2% will drop. When this chart updates, it'll be a bit lower. And that'll be the weekly close. The weekly close of this will be interesting. The monthly, by the way, is a monster candle. Monster bullish candle. Next month might be interesting. So we'll see what happens. If you look at the daily as well, you can see these little momentums, and I think we are going to turn around. I think we've formed a nice impulse wave up. Wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, wave 5. It is valid. We could be coming for the correction now, very, very soon. I think May will be a bad month. Don't quote me on that. This is technical analysis. It could go wrong. Why? Because the government like to print money. So that could be the issue. But if we have propped this market up and we've seen high unemployment, high this, that and the other, we could see a downside. Now, flip over to Bitcoin. People taking profits, people panicking. Bitcoin has had a run the exact same as this. And I've already mentioned this on numerous videos and I hope it's sunk in. When you put Bitcoin on this, I'll just put the Bitcoin futures on there because it's easier. There you go. We are pretty much following it. Right? We follow the drop on the weekly, or the daily, sorry. And apart from this little wobble here, we're back up to it. We're back in cahoots with it. Look at the weekly again. You know, it looks a bit different on the weekly, but you could see that we came down when this came down. We're going up when this is going up. Usually, it's a bit of a mishmash. When you look at the 4-hour time frame as well, you can see it. You can see it's obvious. We are following it in some degree or some capacity. We've decoupled a little bit off it in some cases, but ultimately, when this gains strength, we tend to follow it. If this nosedives, and I mean nosedives, like properly nosedives, and we start going back into these levels again, back down into the 2000 range, potentially even lower, expect Bitcoin to be bearish as well, in my viewpoint. I think people will sell investments. Now, back over to Bitcoin. Now, I know this is a weird video, sorry. But when you look at the analysis of Bitcoin, and when you start looking at the daily time frame of Bitcoin, when you think of this massive drop, people would have been wise to invest in Bitcoin down here, right? Yeah, cool. It's obviously rallied up. That was the wrong indicator thing. Boom, 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 boom. So, in terms of totals, 150% pump, currently 130%. People will be taking profits. People need to live, eat and drink and fart and all kinds of good stuff. That big problem lies with profits. People already on Twitter are trying to get people to buy the dip, buy into this, it's going to keep going, it's going to go 10k, halving. That could be absolutely squashed very, very quickly because retail investors like you, I, everyone else around us will not keep up with institutional investors who are going to sell on us. That is the warning sign, right? Simple as that. I cannot stress that enough. And if you are thinking, oh, I'm going to buy Bitcoin at this dip level, yeah, you may get some short-term relief. But if it rejects off 9k and more institutions start selling because the weekend close is shocking, and more other things that may come out over the next few weeks, potentially the next few days, essentially the start of May, well, put it this way. You do not want to be holding Bitcoin at these levels because it will drop. Personally, I will hold. I will be accumulating via trading because my average buy-in is 2016. So it's a long time ago in terms of where I am kind of sitting. I'm perfectly happy where I am. If it goes to certain levels, I will buy with extra profits that I've generated. If it goes to certain levels, overall, I will be growing it via trading. Doesn't make an ounce of difference to me. But if you're new to the industry and you're thinking, I'm bored and locked down, I've discovered what Bitcoin is, I'm happy, I know who Satoshi is, happy days, I'm going to make some money. The chances are you may lose out on this point. In my view, I think investing at $8,800 is risky. You should have already been invested a long time ago, in my view. Wait and see what happens. If we go down to the likes of the 6k levels again, your buy zones will start to get a bit better in terms of risk reward. Yeah, you can chance it and go for it, but ultimately I think you'll probably lose. It's a game of risk, and I personally don't want to play that game. So that's today's video done, essentially. Dow Jones, just to quickly cover on this, it is in the exact same state of affairs of the S&P. We're into these levels now, we're dipping again, we're starting to get to some pretty interesting levels. Yeah, we could see a bit of a turn, possibly. If this April is just manipulation month and May is going to be a bit of a lull, well, we're going to start seeing some interesting behaviour in the markets, I believe. And if people are going to sell off investments due to panic and fear, well, cryptocurrency, stand by.